Hi there, the Spanish Grammar Guy here on Focus 15 to help you with your Spanish grammar. And today we're going to explore the imperative mood in Spanish in the to form only, the singular informal form. And yes, the imperative is a mood, not a tense. And it's used to give commands or make requests like go away, or please put your litter in the bin, or help me. So you could be instructing someone, offering advice, giving directions, for example. So the imperative mood is really important in effective communication in Spanish. So let's dive right in. Let's have a look at the basics first of the imperative mood. And it's primarily used to tell someone to do something. In Spanish, it differs slightly depending on whom you are addressing. So it changes if you're speaking informally in tú or vosotros forms, for example, or formally in the usted or ustedes forms. And it can be tricky to get your head round the different forms. So this video is only looking at the tú form, the singular informal form. And there are other videos on the channel dealing with the other forms, so check those out. So first of all, when do you use the tú form of the imperative? Well, if you're speaking to a friend or a child, for example, and you want to tell them what to do, or give them advice, or even ask them to do something, that's when you use the imperative form in the tú form. But how do you put it together? How do you form it? For most verbs, you simply use the third person singular of the present tense. So let's have a look at this example here. We have the verb hablar, meaning to speak, and the imperative in the tú form is simply habla, speak. That's your imperative in the tú form, and it's simply the third person singular of the present tense. So that's how you form it. Let's have a look at another example. For example, the verb correr, to run, it would be simply corre. You're telling someone to run in the tú form. Or another one, listen, escucha. It's the third person singular in the present tense. That's how you form your informal tú form for the imperative. But of course, as usual, there are many irregular verbs in the imperative that don't follow that pattern. Yeah, and I'm sorry, you just have to look them up and learn these. But here's a list of some of the common irregular verbs in the Spanish imperative in this singular tú form. Let's have a look at some of those. If you take the infinitive of the verb decir, you would say di. Hacer, it would be haz or haz. Ir would be ve. Poner would be pon. Salir would be sal. Ser would be se. Tener would be ten. And venir would be ben. And these are the two forms of the imperative for these irregular verbs. They all have an irregular imperative in the to case. So that's important to remember, that there are irregular verbs as well, which unfortunately we have to look up. But of course, importantly, how do we use it? Because we wouldn't use the imperative form simply on its own. We would say something like help me, or eat your breakfast, or put your coat on, or leave me alone, or go away, or please put your litter in the bin, for example. So you'd be using the verb in a sentence with something else. We'd use it with a phrase or even a single word like a pronoun, for example, in something like help me. So let's have a look at a few examples of how the imperative with to might be used in real life situations. For example, how would you say, close the door please? If the imperative for the word cerrar in the tú form is cierra, which is the third person singular in the present tense, then we would say cierra la puerta, por favor. Okay? Let's try another example. Call your grandmother this afternoon. So use the verb llamar to call. We need the third person singular in the present tense of the verb llamar, which would be llama. And so the translation for this sentence would be llama a tu abuela esta tarde. Very good, if you got that one right. Let's have another one. Have a glass of water. Remember to use the verb tomar, meaning to take or to drink. Okay. Toma un vaso de agua. Okay, very good. And let's try just one more. Put your jacket on. This one is trickier as you have to use a pronoun here in this construction. And it would be ponte la chaqueta. Okay, so you've learned how to form and use the imperative mood in Spanish in just the tu form. Have a look for the other videos on how to use the imperative mood in the other forms, usted, ustedes, and vosotros. Okay, that's it for now. Please subscribe to Focus 15 with the Spanish Grammar Guy for more Spanish grammar tips. Thanks for watching and see you soon.